Hey guys, you know we especially try to bring you stories about historical and interesting places that we think are in real danger of being lost to time. Well, here recently, I had just such occasion to do that in a little place called Houston, Mississippi, and we take you to the Bates-Tabb House. Come along with us. Let's go explore. The Judge Bates House is a historic mansion in Houston, Mississippi. It was built sometimes between 1845 and 1850 for a J.C. Kinney. Judge Bates bought the house in January of 1864 in the middle of the Civil War. He served with the Confederate Army during the war. Judge Bates' grandson, who was Winfield Bates-Tabb, was a mayor of Houston back in the 20s. If you like this kind of content, why don't you give that like button a little boop? We're going to look around the yard while I tell you what I've been able to find out about the house. You can almost see the local primary school from the front porch of the house. And one neat story is that how all the young students used to stand out at the corner of the playground of the primary school every morning and look for the ghost in the windows of the big old white house up on the hill. There have been previous attempts at restoration, and the home has had people living in it through the years, but as you can see, it needs some tender loving care. This home is one of only 2 antebellum structures remaining in Houston. Houston is in the same county as Okolona, and since Okolona had the railroad, well, at that time, it had most of the antebellum structures as well, or at least most of those that survived. I forgot to tell you guys earlier, Winfield Bates-Tabb used to own a pharmacy here in Houston for many years, as well as being mayor. This house sits on about 10 acres, and you're looking out toward the back pasture. It's neat in that it's completely in a country setting, but it's directly in the middle of town. Federal Cavalry Commander Grierson and his 1,700 Federals conducted an infamous raid through, well, a big portion of Mississippi back during the Civil War, and it is said that many of them put on Confederate uniforms to more easily pass through the state, which would of course make it easier for them to do their destruction. I'm reasonably confident that some of those Federals in fact put on their Confederate uniforms here at the Bates-Tabb House. Grierson and his Federals came through the area a couple times during the Civil War. The house served as a field hospital during Grierson's second raid, and apparently there, at least at one time, were bloodstains on the floor. I'm not sure what this is. There's a metal door you can see down through the debris. Maybe this is some kind of root cellar or perhaps a secret tunnel. Anybody that knows for sure, just leave a comment down below. Now you're looking back toward the well house again. Originally, I think the house contained 9 large rooms. I'm sure the original part of the house was built with hand-planed heart pine lumber. Termites would never be a problem for that stuff. An interesting story is that Mr. Bates was with the Confederate Army at Mobile when Mrs. Bates heard that the Federals were in the area. She sent all her nice belongings and, well, family treasures to an area known as the Flatwoods. But as it turns out, the Federals intercepted the enslaved person driving the wagon, and Miss Bates lost all her precious family belongings. When the Federals rode into her yard, tearing her fence down, Miss Bates met one Federal cavalryman at the door and told him she and her twin babies were alone, and that if he had any respect for her, he would leave her be. He spied an old musket in the house and told one of his fellow soldiers to get it, and she asked him not to, and of course he did anyway. He also took some of Mr. Bates' clothes when he asked, "Where is your husband?" Miss Bates replied, "In Mobile with the Confederate Army," to which he said, "I hope to meet him someday." And of course she replied, "I hope he kills you when you do." One thing that I'm just not able to get a real pretty shot of is this big beautiful magnolia that we're walking by now. Legend has it that Mr. Bates brought back with him from Mobile twin magnolia trees that he planted in his yard. Well, of course, this big beautiful tree we're walking about now is the one that survives. The house and the 10-acre property is currently for sale and is listed on Zillow. It's one of those red dots in the center. If you enjoyed your visit to the Bates-Tabb House today, give that like button a little boop, and maybe even consider purchasing and preserving this great piece of Mississippi history. Thank you.